Hey, what's up, guys? So a new trailer for the new Percy Jackson series made by Disney Plus just dropped. It is trailer 2. I broke the last trailer down very in-depth, and I'm going to do it a little bit differently this time and actually just react to it and break it down as I watch it. I haven't watched it yet. I'm excited to watch it, so let's do it. Okay, before I even press play, the first shot is in front of the Metropolitan Museum, and that is where the beginning of the book takes place.
Perseus. That's me.
That's who you're named after.
Because he was a hero?
Because he was brave and kind and against all odds, he managed to find his way to a happy ending.
Okay, so interesting. Let's go back a little bit. So we see a young Percy Jackson, not played by Walker Scobell, in the same museum where he's on that field trip, which is new. That was not in the book. And also, it's interesting that his mother tells him stories about Greek mythology and myths and all of that, because she did not do that in the book either. So that is also new. And of course, Rick Riordan, who wrote the series, is a big writer on this one, probably like the main writer. So that's his own additions to his own series. And he did say that in an interview. He said he was going to use this opportunity to add things to the book that he always wished he could.
Against all.
Okay, so this shot, he has blue jelly beans, I believe, which is a running joke with his mother that they always eat and drink blue things. She always makes things blue for him. I love that detail. Okay, so Grover was being pulled away somewhere. Not sure where that takes place. And then this shot is the arch, and it looks like Percy is about to or has just fallen out of that and into the water. We saw him playing Capture the Flag. Yeah, that's at Camp Half-Blood. And then that, I'm not sure what that was. That was like a bunch of fish, maybe underwater. That might have been when he was talking to the thing underwater after he jumped out of the arch.
He managed to find his way to a happy ending.
So that shot is right when he's about to fight the Minotaur. I love the Disney Plus stuff with the lightning going along with the Master Bolt that was at the center of this entire story in season 1. Okay, so that's Nancy Boba Fett, who is the bully at Yancey Academy, I believe it was called, and she's bullying Grover, which is something that we saw in the book. Percy, even though Grover is Percy's protector officially, Percy was always protecting Grover from bullies, including, and mainly, Nancy Boba Fett. Okay, so then we saw him and his mother looking at this statue when he was younger, and now he's looking at it while he's on this field trip. And the statue depicts Perseus, who he's named after, holding Medusa's head, which foreshadows what's to come later in the season.
Like a puzzle with half their own pieces.
I gotta say, as somebody who is actually dyslexic, like very severely dyslexic, the depiction of it on this screen is pretty accurate to what it's like. That was one thing I always loved about the Percy Jackson series. I had ADHD and I was dyslexic, and that was like learning disabilities growing up. And the books, like, they explain that away saying, oh no, you're just a demigod, you're special, you know? So that was always cool. And I know Rick Riordan did that for his son, who also was dyslexic and had ADHD. He wanted him to feel better, so he made up these stories about Percy Jackson, and then later wrote the books. Some fun history for you.
But lately, it all feels different somehow.
So I believe that's Mrs. Dodds, and that is outside the Metropolitan. And it's interesting because in the book, that happened inside of the museum, but based on the last trailer and this one, this actually happens outside of the Metropolitan Museum, which is interesting when you think about the mist, because all of those mortals around there won't see what they're actually seeing. So I wonder how they're going to explain that and explain what the mortals see.
Percy, you are special.
Actually, that might have been a Pegasus, because I just heard it neigh.
When you're ready to hear what the gods have in store for you.
Okay, so Chiron just gave him the pen, which is of course Riptide. And one thing I didn't like about the movie adaptation is they take away the moment where Chiron comes in and throws him Riptide, the sword, and he fights with it. And the show actually did the same thing that the movie did, unfortunately. I don't know, I just thought it was more epic for him to like catch it in the middle of his fight.
What the gods have in store for you, they'll tell you.
So we saw that shot in the last trailer, the vibrating pen.
Percy, the stories I have told you about Greek gods and monsters, they are real.
Yeah, so that goes back to her telling Percy more about like Greek myths and Greek mythology and all of that, which we saw a little bit in the last trailer, and I talked about it there and earlier in this trailer. But wait a minute, we need to go back to some of these shots. So we have Ares on the beach right before his fight with Percy. That is toward the end of the season.
Told you about Greek
And then the back of Medusa's head with the snakes.
gods and monsters.
And then we have Cerberus, the three-headed dog that guards the underworld. And I've got to say, he looks really, really good. And you can see that Percy is holding the red ball, which I thought Annabeth had in the underworld, but I could be wrong. But that's just a really cool detail. And I'm very happy that Cerberus looks pretty good. And all of the CGI so far that we've seen looks pretty top-notch, which I was worried about because I know that Disney is their artists are spread so thin right now, and I was worried that a show like this wouldn't get the attention that it needed, but it seems like it has. So I'm happy about that.
They are real.
This is crazy.
So Percy saying this is crazy, that was to his mother and possibly to Grover too in the beach house when they were telling him the truth. We saw this shot in the last trailer. It's all of the arrows are pointing to different houses that belong to the gods, and that blue one back there is Poseidon's, Percy's father's, and where he lives.
You are a half-blood and half-blood.
Okay, so this is... Oh! So that's Luke right there. That's our first real shot of Luke. You can see the scar down his face, which he got on his quest. And then I believe that's Clarice and the Ares cabin. Interesting. It appears as though Luke isn't part of that, though. I don't think he is. He's more of like a parental figure, older brotherly figure. And he might be just giving Percy a tour, which was done by Annabeth in the book, and then by Grover in the movie. So now, if that's true, then we have Luke giving it to him in the TV show. Different person for each one. So we see Clarice push him to the ground, and that goes with that theme of bullying that is a constant throughout the entire Percy Jackson series. But so far in just this trailer, we've seen two forms of bullying with Nancy Boba Fett and Clarice. And honestly, that's one of my favorite parts of the series, is the bullying and how that affects people.
Everything has been training for what's still ahead of you.
Oh.
Hold on.
So that was the Minotaur coming after them, and they ram into Sally Jackson while she's driving Gabe's car, Percy's stepfather, who was just a real POS. But yeah, it's safe to say that his Camaro was not coming back the way he hoped. But yeah, that was on their way to Camp Half-Blood. And December 20th, that's 2 days after my birthday. That's a pretty good birthday present, 28th birthday present. Man, I'm getting old. I'm pushing 30. Anyway, let's get back to it. Nice shot of Camp Half-Blood and the water that it's on. Yeah, it looks like they have like canoes and boats and stuff, which is pretty cool.
Percy Jackson, your father.
There's his father's cabin, and Chiron is saying your father. Let's see what he says.
Needs your help. The master bolt.
Oh, so he said your father needs your help, and then that is Poseidon right there in, I believe, Olympus. You can see all of the thrones in the throne room, where each one for a different god. And I love that he's wearing a sea blue shirt, very ocean-esque.
It's been stolen.
Oh, wait. Okay. So that is at the front of the Empire State Building, and that is the Master Bolt, I believe, that Percy puts down. And I think at this point, that guy, he obviously lets people up to Olympus and he wasn't letting them in. And then Percy was probably like, dude, I have the freaking Master Bolt. Let me up there. And then you could see in his eyes, he's like, oh, yeah. And then he was probably like, yeah, you can go right on up.
If you don't return the bolt.
Okay, so we see Chiron. And this time he's obviously in his centaur form. Last time we saw him, he was in his wheelchair. And this is obviously at Camp Half-Blood.
Turn the bolt.
Oh, so that is Clarice. So we haven't really seen much of Clarice in the trailers yet, but yeah, she looks pretty cool. And that's her spear that her father Ares gave her, that I believe it either stings or shocks you. I think shocks you. And she used it on Percy during the Capture the Flag game, and Percy ended up breaking it during that fight. Okay, yeah, so that's the fight with that he has with Clarice in the Ares cabin. And you can see Clarice pulling out like her sword or her spear behind her. But yeah, I'm wondering, there's no water around there, which is what really fueled Percy in that fight. So maybe there is, I just can't see it.
Is your quest. I know.
Oh, so they're playing the Riptide song again that they played in the last trailer, which of course goes along with his sword that is also a pen called Riptide. It looks like here they're walking through the underworld.
Sounds daunting.
Yeah, I think that's the underworld.
But you won't be able.
Okay, so that's at Camp Half-Blood, and I think that might be, in the middle, I think that might be where the campers sacrifice food before each meal and sacrifice it to their godly parent. Yeah, and then we can also see Chiron in his centaur form, and next to him is Mr. D, and he's wearing a shirt that is literally straight from the book. I love that. Also, I love the Camp Half-Blood shirts. I can't believe the movie didn't have those orange shirts. Like, that's such a staple of Percy Jackson. So I'm happy that the show has them.
Hello. The quest is all.
Oh, so we see Annabeth, and you can see her beads on her necklace. So how that works is each summer you're there, you get a bead, and each one is different based on what happened that summer. And she and I believe Luke have the most beads because they arrived at the same time. She was only 7 when she arrived.
Always undertaken by.
We have Grover, and you can see the pointy ears. And it looks like behind him, that's Mr. D, who he was just talking to. And then that's the 3 of them on the beach right before Percy fights Ares. And you can see the worry in Annabeth's eyes. And also Grover's eyes, too. Like, I mean, I would be worried, too. He's about to fight a freaking god.
Demigods process reality.
Oh, I paused it at the perfect time. So that is the invisibility cap that Annabeth has. Oh, that's so exciting. The movie's cut that completely. Wait, we got to go back and look at that.
Process.
Is it a New York Yankees cap? That's what I'm wondering. They don't show it. Yeah, so it was a New York Yankees cap in the book. But I'm so excited that we get to see that invisibility cap. And you can see Percy, this is right before Capture the Flag. And if it goes by the book, that means that Annabeth just set Percy up as a decoy and a trap to help her win the Capture the Flag game.
Differently. We got.
Here's another shot of Luke, and you can see he has just as many beads that Annabeth did, because as I said, they arrived at the same time. Oh, and then this is where he's trying to figure out what Percy's specialty is to find out who his Greek god is. And I think this is the part where he's trying to find out who his godly parent is, and he did archery hoping to see if he was Apollo's son. And yeah, Percy was not good at it. He was not good.
Figure out what you're good at.
Should I try again?
Okay, so that, honestly, that is the humor from the books that I absolutely love, and I think that they, with just that one scene, I think they perfectly captured that, which makes me really happy. So the target looks like it's a monster.
There's no place.
Oh, so that was, let me go back a tad. Okay, so that's Waterland, which is the park where they went to retrieve something for Ares. But when they got there, there was a trap set by Hephaestus because Ares was basically sleeping with Hephaestus' wife Aphrodite.
There's no place for me here.
So that's the love ride that they go through, which is where the trap was set.
You still don't get where you fit into all this.
Okay. So that's Annabeth, and it looks like that is during Capture the Flag based on the armor that she has. And then that's Percy on Olympus, and you can see more of the thrones and it looking out to the clouds because obviously Olympus is a city in the clouds, and that's the throne room.
Into all this. We were sent.
So the trio on a train, I believe that was actually after Grover talked to that dog, and then the dog gave him a tip to go on the train. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what that is.
On a quest by
And then Annabeth is fighting something here.
the gods.
Ooh, she stabbed it. And then we have Percy and Grover, I believe, walking through the underworld. So the underworld is basically, Hades was mad that he couldn't go to Olympus. He wasn't welcome there. So he said, screw it, and built his own Olympus down in the underworld. And it was literally the exact same city, but just flipped upside down. And you can see a building flipped upside down right there.
You think it'll be easy?
Demigods.
Okay, so we got the Lotus Hotel. It looks pretty good. And I guess that's the guy that just like runs the hotel. I don't know. Trying to like invite them in and get them stuck there.
Welcome.
So that's Grover running across in the casino. Ooh. Is that Percy tackling Grover there? I'm not sure. I can't really... Is that Grover? I don't know. Either way, Percy tackles someone in the casino. It might be Grover because he was like trying to get him to snap out of it, him and Annabeth, so that they could get out of there. So that might be part of that. Oh man, so we see Percy fighting Ares. Finally, we get to see that on the big screen. So the movie cut that completely. The movie completely cut Ares and made Hades the villain, even though he was not the villain. He was sort of a victim in the whole thing, when really Ares was the villain the entire time, Ares and Kronos. So seeing Percy fight Ares on screen is going to be amazing. I'm wondering if they're going to have him use his water powers, because that is like basically how he held his own against Ares. And then after that, we obviously have the Minotaur.
I'm not leaving you. Perseus, hold fast. Brave the storm.
Okay, so that's like right before his mom is about to get taken away by the Minotaur. And that's probably right outside Camp Half-Blood. And I love the words that Sally Jackson says to Percy, brave the storm. So we see Percy running forward with Riptide.
Maybe I won't even need a sword.
Oh, I think that's the Chimera. Is that what it was? Yeah, I think it was called the Chimera. Up on top of the arch in St. Louis.
I'm gonna need a sword.
Oh, so it breathes fire. That's awesome. Also, that humor, again, like it just matches up so well with the book. Like, I don't need a sword. Oh, I do need a sword. Like that's just classic Percy Jackson humor. Then they play Riptide again. Yeah, so this was a really cool trailer, man. Like, we got a lot of new things to see. Yeah, so we saw Cerberus, we saw Medusa, we saw more of Ares, we saw the Chimera, we saw more of Ares, all different things that Percy's going to be facing on this quest. I did really like the flashback of a younger Percy with his mother. Yeah, so I was super excited to see Poseidon. That was a big one that I was excited to see, especially in Olympus with the baby blue shirt. Seeing the Master Bolt not in its like lightning form was pretty cool. Yeah, and then also Clarice's spear that Ares gave her. I really like that. A lot of cool shots of the underworld, especially that one that I pointed out with like the upside down building. We see a lot of Grover. We see a lot of Annabeth, which is exciting. Luke, yeah, I'm excited to have Luke, finally see Luke in the trailer. And I think the scar that they have for him, perfect. I love it. Though, yeah, as I said, the archery scene was classic Percy Jackson comedy, and as was like the I don't need a sword, oh, I do need a sword thing. Olympus looks really cool. I'm excited to see more of that. It was cool seeing Annabeth being a freaking badass and stabbing that thing. Yeah, then Percy fighting Ares, probably the thing I'm most hype about. Yeah, man, like I'm excited. I'm really excited. Each trailer is getting me more and more hype, and I have to be careful because I don't want to get too hype and then it let me down. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the trailer in the comments. Let me know if there's things you liked, things you didn't like. Let me know your thoughts on the things that I said, things that I mentioned. And yeah, let's start some conversations in the comments section. I might jump in there, start talking with some of you guys. I'm going to be covering the show in depth with each episode, a breakdown, review, reaction sort of thing. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of that. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today, so I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. You can follow me on Instagram to see more of my personal life, like my cute dog Loki, and some behind the scenes movie flame stuff. I also do similar content on TikTok and Twitter that I do here on this channel, so if you like what I do here, check them out. All the handles are right below me, and links are in the description. Over here are my wonderful patrons. If you want to be featured on the next video, plus get a few other perks, become a patron today. As always, if you liked the video, hit that like button and subscribe, and look out for more great Movie Flame videos on the way.